Hello and welcome to another video. This is the mid-year book freakout tag that I've seen quite a few people doing, and since it is now the 1st of July I've decided that it's time that I did it as well. So without further ado, I'll get into it. So the first question, or first tag, is your favourite book of 2017. I've read quite a lot of really good books so far this year, discovered quite a few new authors, new series, and I actually struggled to narrow this down, so I have narrowed it down to two, which is, well, although this again is kind of cheating because it's narrowed down to two series, but the first one is the Dark Shade of Magic trilogy. I loved all three books in the trilogy. Dark Shade of Magic I do love, especially because it is the first one, although the other two are just brilliant. But yeah, I really enjoyed this trilogy a lot. And the other one is the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon. Again, I've really enjoyed these. I've actually had this book for a number of years now. I think it's about 4 years since it first came out, and I've only just read it this year and really enjoyed it. So those are my favourite books of 2017. Number 2 is favourite sequel of 2017, and that had to go to Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. I absolutely adored this book so much. I loved reading it. I loved the development. I loved how we focused on all the characters, and yeah, so that is the one that I choose for best sequel. The next one is a recent release that you haven't read yet, and I actually have two for this. The first one is Our Dark Duet by V.E. Schwab. The reason I haven't read it yet is because I still need to read This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab, which comes before it. So that's kind of two books that I need to read. But also a new release is A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. I finished Long Way to a Small Angry Planet in June and really enjoyed it and had to get this straight away. Luckily it's recently come out, so I was able to pick it up. But those two would be the recent releases that I haven't managed to get to yet. Number 4 is your most anticipated release in the last 6 months of the year. And this one's actually really hard, because normally I would have said, oh, you know, the next Sarah J Maas book, Tower of Dawn. But I'm not as excited about that one. Kale isn't one of my favourite characters. So the anticipation isn't quite as high as it would have been had it been the final book like it was going to be this year. So I would probably have to say Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. I've seen quite a few people are lucky enough to have arcs of that, and I'm rather jealous of that. But yeah, I would think that that is probably one of the most anticipated reads that will be coming out in the next few months. Right, so number 5 is the biggest disappointment. I have been quite lucky in that I haven't read that many books which have been a letdown this year. However, one of the ones that I did feel let down by was The One Memory of Flora Banks. It had a really good premise to it, and I thought it could have been really interesting, but I found it very repetitive, which is understandable because the main character has amnesia. But yeah, it was just a little too repetitive, and although it picked up towards the second half, I then felt that the ending was rushed and there wasn't really much of a resolution, and it was just a little bit of a shame. I did listen to this on audiobook from the library, but I have skimmed through the book in bookstores, and it just, yeah, I don't think it would have changed my opinion had I read it rather than listened to it. So yeah, unfortunately that was my biggest disappointment this year. Then the biggest surprise, I have been surprised by quite a few books that I've read, mainly the science fiction ones, because I'm not as into science fiction as fantasy, but I have enjoyed them. But I think the biggest surprise for me was The Chemist by Stephenie Meyer. I'm not the biggest fan of Twilight by any means, But I actually found that I really enjoyed this book. Again, I listened to that one on audiobook as well, borrowed from my local library, and I do want to get the physical copy when it comes out in paperback later this year, because I do think I would reread that one. It's an adult thriller. It's very much out of my norm of reading genres, but I really did enjoy it, and I thought the writing had very much improved since Twilight, and yeah, it was just, I really liked it. Then number 7 is favourite new author, and this can be either a debut author or an author new to you, and again I couldn't choose between them, so this is going to be quite often on this tag, but I chose V.E. Schwab and Samantha Shannon. V.E. Schwab's writing is just brilliant. I really like her writing style, and I've liked everything that I've read by her so far. And Samantha Shannon, I just think, has created such a clever and just so in-depth world. There is a lot of information, but it's so cleverly done and it's so intricate, and just I found that I loved delving back into the world with the sequels. I was just really looking forward to it, and I really enjoyed her writing. So those would be my favourite new authors. Next is your favourite new crush, and again I'm going to go back to these books again. I love Paige, and I love her character in this, and I just think she's so smart and brave and stronger than she realises, and yeah, I just love how she develops. I like her a lot in this, very much. She's one of my new fictional crushes. And of course, from Dark Shade of Magic, I can't choose between Kel and Lila. They're both amazing. I'd love to be loved by either of them, both of them, if possible. But yeah, so they're my new fictional crushes. And favourite new character, I actually went with Dark Shade of Magic again, the whole trilogy. I really like Rye and Alucard. They're two of my new favourite characters. I was going to choose Ty and Kit from Lord of Shadows, but they're kind of not new characters because we did meet them in Lady Midnight, which I read last year. So if we're going on new characters that I've only been introduced to this year, I would definitely choose Rye and Alucard as favourite new characters. Then it was a book that made you cry, and for this, of course, I went with Lord of Shadows because it made me cry a lot. Conjuring of Light, actually, and Gathering of Shadows. Gathering of Shadows, I was a mess at the end of that book. Very much a mess, actually. So quite a few books have made me cry this year, but this one is the most recent one that's made me cry. Because, yeah, Cassandra Clare knows how to make you cry. The next one, number 11, is a book that made you happy. And for this one, I went with Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I really enjoyed this story. It was quite nice. It was relatively light. It had its moments, but overall, I quite enjoyed the setting. I enjoyed the mystery and the whole idea of it. I really liked, and I enjoyed reading it. So that's what I went for that. Number 12 is book to TV or movie adaptation. I haven't seen an awful lot. I know American Gods has come out. I know 13 Reasons Why has come out, but I haven't read those books and I haven't seen the shows. Or I read American Gods, but a long time ago. I can't remember much about it. And after watching the first episode, I decided that I really want to read the book again before watching the TV show. So I haven't really seen it. I mean, maybe I really enjoyed Hidden Figures. I know that's more of a real life to TV adaptation, I suppose, but I know there is a book, but I don't know which came first. But yeah, I can't think of any. Preacher season 2 has just started up again. I'm really loved season 1, and I have the first few episodes of season 2 to watch, so maybe that. I really enjoyed Preacher. I thought it was really well done. I liked the casting, and yeah, so maybe that one. Number 13 is your favourite review or video that you've done. For this, it's really hard to choose. I haven't been on BookTube an awful long time, and I'm not overly confident with what I'm doing. But I do, having said that, I do really enjoy doing my unboxing videos, especially the Book Box Club unboxings, because they're just always so nice, so thoughtful and so interesting. So yeah, I'd say maybe my unboxing videos. Number 14 is the most beautiful book you have bought or received this year. And that without a doubt has to go to Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is the UK special edition and it's just gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. And of course we also inside have the drawing that Laini did and this printed in signature. So the whole thing is just absolutely beautiful and I really enjoyed reading this book. Again, this is another one that made me cry, and gave me a few new characters to love as well. So yeah, it's my first introduction to Laini Taylor's writing, and I have the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy to read now as well. So I would say that is the most beautiful book I have. And then the last question, number 15, is books that you need to read by the end of the year. I have so many. A ridiculous number of books that I need to read by the end of the year. I'm not going to get them all done because it's impossible, because my shelves are just full and I don't have that much time. But having said that, there are a few that I want to try and prioritise by the end of the year. I've actually had The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. I got these from America last May. They're all signed by her as well. I got them as like a set out there, and I still haven't read them. So I would like to get the Raven Cycle done by the end of the year. That would be quite good. And then I don't have physical copies of them. I have them on ebook, but Golden Sun and Morning Star, which are the book 2 and 3 to Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I'd really like to finish that series because I loved Red Rising. And I don't know why I didn't immediately move on to the next books, but I didn't. And yeah, I really would like to finish this series by the end of the year, especially because I know Pierce Brown is bringing out another book. I think it's another trilogy actually, set after this series. So I would really like to get that series finished as well. And, you know, numerous things on my TBR, especially the books that I'm getting from my book subscription boxes. Like I'm a couple behind with the Fairy Loot and a couple behind with Book Box Club as well. So yeah, I would like to get quite a few of those read. Ideally, I would like to not be behind on any of the book subscription box books by the end of the year, so that would be nice to start the brand new year with brand new books and not have any left over from the subscription boxes. Would be really cool. So yeah, this has been the mid-year book freakout tag. I don't really have anyone specific to tag. I think everyone I know has already done it, so I did this because I saw it on a couple of others, and that at the end they said they had no one to tag, so if you wanted to do it, do it. So yeah, that's where I was tagged from. So I am extending that to all of you. If you see this video and you'd like to do the tag, then please do, and feel free to say that I tagged you. So that has been the mid-year book freakout tag. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you soon. Bye.